I wanted to go back to what's keeping us from pleasure.
Okay.
So you mentioned briefly, but like a medication, kind of the things that are a little more granular, but that we might not be realizing are keeping us from pleasure.
I think, I love this conversation because I just feel like people don't realize it's like hidden in plain sight. And so, because we just think, oh God, something's wrong with me. Like, I want to help people like decode it. Like, for example, you might not be in the mood for sex or having orgasms because you're on a medication. So many people are on antidepressants, your birth control pill, blood pressure medication. So those are just some things that are like, that could absolutely impact your libido. Mm-hmm. And that's something you talk to your doctor about. I'm not saying go off your medication, but there's so many ways to work with it. And historically, our doctors didn't tell us these things, didn't prioritize anyone's sexual health. Let's say women's sexual health, but anyone's sexual health. It could be nutrition, the foods that we're eating. It could be exercise. People are just always very surprised that there's a link between all of these things, which might seem obvious to some, but if you haven't been moving your body, you're eating a lot of food, it's all about, because blood flow, orgasms and arousal is about blood flow. So your blood will not be flowing to your genitals if you have not been moving your body, or you've been smoking or drinking or doing a lot of things at excess. Absolutely going to affect your ability to be aroused. If you have resentments that have built up in your relationship and you just have not addressed it with your partner yet, it's going to be another reason why you're not going to be in the mood for sex. Mm-hmm. If you have unhealed trauma, that every time you start to have sex with someone, you freeze, you shut down in your body, you're having flashbacks, whatever, even if it wasn't a sexual trauma, but just all the different kinds of traumas that we have that you probably are displaying in other relationships, but particularly in your personal relationships. Yeah, unresolved traumas or even just, resentments with your partner
are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. I think the food thing is interesting. It's also like taking care of your body. Like my sex and my ability to have sex is directly correlated to how good I feel about myself and my body. Mm-hmm. And that is the movement. That is the nutrition. That is treating my body well so that I can be like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling good. Like I treat you well. I love you. Like someone else can treat me well and love me too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also advocating for just around eating. It's like I never want to do it after like a nice big meal.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Sushi, the best. Was that you that said that?
No, but
someone said sushi's the best first date because it's light.
Just kind of a few pieces. But I had to kind of start to think about, okay, so you don't like to have sex after a meal. So after we come home from dinner and it's like late night and whatever. So what do I have to advocate for or ask for in order to be able to optimize like when we're having sex and obviously enjoying it? And it was whether it's like first thing in the morning or it's like during the day, like on the weekend.
During the day.
I love daytime because I have the energy.
Yes.
Night, I'm very tired.
Night, anytime past 6 is done.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that you're asking this because when is the right time for sex? This is what I've been thinking. Like, we have to reverse engineer this because so many of us are setting ourselves up for failure because we're thinking it's going to spontaneously happen at 11 o'clock at night.
100%.
No, we're in a mood, right? Unless you're like I don't even know when you're in it. Maybe early in a relationship. I was going to say in your early 20s or in college or whatever. But the truth is, after a while in any relationship, you're like, oh my God, I just want to go to bed. I'm tired. So finding the ideal time that is right for sex. So you got to reverse engineer it. So it's okay. If you know it's never going to be after 9, it's never going to be after dinner, have sex before dinner. Yeah. Make the time to have sex before you go out, before you walk the dogs, before you put the kids to bed, not after, because you know you're going to be tired. And this is for couples, like strategize it, like in real time. Like I've done this as well in my relationship. I'm doing all these things. He's like, okay, so I've come to find out that like we get in bed at 11, you're not going to want to do it at 11:30. I'm like, never. Majority of times I'm not. I'm like, it's during the days, it's on the weekends. And there's no one saying that it has to be at night. Just because in movies and television we see it happening late at night. After a big meal, not going to happen. So I really want to think about it and then think about reverse engineering it, knowing that I definitely want to be sexual and have sex with my partner. What can I do to make it? Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe it's been a week or it's been 5 days. Well, that's not okay. Like I know that we need that connection. It's not okay for either one of us. So what will it look like over the next week? Like literally planning ahead, scheduling the sex, thinking what is going to be the ideal time. And for a lot of people, and there have been studies that have shown that women are more likely to want sex mid-afternoon, which isn't ideal for many people. But if you know that, then maybe it's a Saturday. Maybe it's you get a babysitter or you make sure that you have time. And that counts. That's okay to find out what works best for you and your partner and then to talk about it with them so they understand. Because what happens when we don't talk about this stuff, going back to the top of this conversation, is that most of us don't talk about it. So we walk around feeling we feel resentful. We feel shame. We feel like our partner doesn't want us because let's say you're the partner who every night they try to have sex with you every night at 11. And you just keep saying no, you say no, and you don't put any words around it. You just say no. Your partner thinks they're not lovable, they've done something wrong, you're mad at them, or maybe they just resent you because like, how do you not care about our sex life? Are you not turned on? Something wrong with you? So putting words around it. And here's another tip. Instead of just turning your partner down and saying no again, think about why not. And think about when you might want to in the future. You know, babe, this week is going to be really tough. Right now, I'm just feeling exhausted. We had that big meal. Chicken Parmesan does not do well with sex for me. But I'm thinking that Saturday night, we know we're going out for sushi, or we know that we have a late reservation. Let's try to like shower, or not shower, or shower before, whatever it is. Let's try to like have some time between 5 and 8 where we can just hang out around the house, maybe build a fire, have sex, and then go to dinner. Would that be so fun Saturday night? And get them going like, okay.
Yeah.
So they're not going to try again on Thursday. They're not going to try again on Friday. You're not going to feel bad and resentful, but you've made it clear that it's intentional, that it's a priority for you and when it's going to happen.
Yes.
So setting expectations.
I love that too. It's like painting a picture.
Yes. And it's so important. I think some people might be listening to this and thinking like, oh, it's taking the sexy out of it. It's taking the spontaneity out of it. But really, like I've found it helps so much because it's taking the guesswork and kind of the unsaid out of, or the assumptions out of your partner's mind. The partner might be being like, man, like maybe I just don't do it for her anymore, or vice versa. And to have that clarity, and even if it might seem a little like planned and scheduled, once you're in it, you're like, fuck yeah.
Right.
Like, this is great.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right.
And you can schedule it. You don't need to schedule what position you're doing or like what you're saying or like what you're wearing. It's like we're just giving this window of time.
Yes.
And then we can be freaking whatever, doing whatever we want.
Exactly. Because sex is an event. It's an activity that takes time and takes preparation. So I want to normalize that. But also, I want to address that. This whole like it's not sexy. If people really, I want people to take a minute who are thinking that, because everyone thinks that. Many people, when I say schedule sex, oh great, like I want to look at the calendar and see, pick up the dry cleaning, get my car filled with gas, and have sex.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
It's not on my calendar. It's not happening.
Exactly. But for some people, like it's not hot. But really, how hot is it? How hot is it after the first 6 months to 2 years where the honeymoon phase takes a nosedive, which it does? That is biology. It is not going to be at a sustained level where you're ripping each other's clothes up every day. So knowing that, is it really that hot, like waiting to see that your partner just surprised you in the kitchen? Like, how often is that really happening? And when you think about the way I'm talking about it, you've had to clear out some of these blocks, but once it's totally normal, like it just feels better. You're just like, okay, I'm being honest. I'm letting you know that I care for you. And that is sexy. And then the thing I want to talk about is the anticipation. Then you get to think about the sex. Then you get to shave or put on your lingerie or make the bed or do all, not eat a huge
some
big
sexy
meal.
text leading up to it.
All of it. Yeah. The sexy text, right? The seduction.
I'm like, clean the house.
Clean the house, right?
Light a candle.
All the things you get
Shave
to prepare so you're ready.
100%.
Exactly.
I think that's huge, especially for women. I think men less. But I agree with you. Like having that clarity also helps break that psychic energy that I think you have a lot in relationships where the man is like, okay, when is it? When are we going to do it? You know, when I've been in heterosexual relationships, it's like, when are we going to do it?
Yeah.
And so it helps them, what I've experienced, feel more confident that you're not going to reject them or you're not going to say no or anything like that, because we both have this mutual understanding for when we're going to be intimate together. And yeah, you can really have the buildup, which is so nice.
It really is. That can't be underestimated or underrated, how much that anticipation builds to our arousal.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.